Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine having a personalized guide for your spiritual journey, one that truly understands your unique path, adapts to your needs, helps you flourish.
Right.
What if? What if that guide was actually powered by artificial intelligence?
Mm.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a truly fascinating study from the Journal of Spirituality and Mental Health. It's by Dinesh Kumar and Anjula Uchoi.
Yes.
And this research explores something pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah.
How AI could potentially predict and even, well, enhance your spiritual well-being.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't just theory. It's not just pie in the sky thinking.
Yeah.
It's really a conceptual blueprint for building predictive models. Models that could genuinely transform how we understand and support spiritual health.
Okay.
So our mission for you today is really to cut through the complexity, extract the most important insights, give you a shortcut to understanding how AI might bridge these existing gaps.
Gaps in assessment, you mean?
Exactly. Offering dynamic, data-driven pathways to, well, deeper meaning, perhaps. Get ready for some aha moments, hopefully, that will make you rethink the intersection of technology and the deepest parts of human experience.
Sounds good. So to start us off, what exactly is spiritual well-being? It sounds intuitive, but what's the definition here?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
The study defines it pretty simply as the presence of purpose, significance, and belonging.
Okay.
Or even more broadly, you could say meaning, purpose, and connection.
And it's getting a lot of attention, right? Because it links to other positive things.
Absolutely. It's positively associated with some really important outcomes like better mental health, stronger coping mechanisms, and even longevity, particularly noted in young adults.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds like something we'd all want to foster, huh?
Definitely. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, spiritual well-being is increasingly recognized as a central factor, not just for individuals, but for societal health, too.
But here's the catch, I suppose.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to actually measure or predict?
That's the kicker. Exactly. The research points out that spirituality is what they call a relativistic construct, meaning it's inherently subjective. It's expressed differently across cultures, across individuals. It's deeply personal.
Like trying to measure happiness, maybe?
Sort of, yeah. And traditional scales, things like the spiritual well-being scale or Assay-Stimmt, they often fall short.
How so?
Well, they can be limited. Maybe they focus too much on just religious aspects or existential dimensions, or they don't capture the dynamic nature of it, how spirituality can change and evolve for a person.
Ah, right. It's not static.
Exactly. Plus, they rely heavily on self-report.
Which means?
Which means it can be prone to social desirability bias.
Yeah.
People might report what they think they should be feeling.
Rather than what they actually are feeling.
Precisely. Not the raw truth, necessarily.
Okay, so given how subjective it is, I can see why prediction has been so tough. But this paper argues AI offers a fresh approach. What's the breakthrough here? What can AI do differently?
Well, the article argues that new advances in AI can absolutely help overcome these challenges. We're talking about technologies like natural language processing, predictive modeling, adaptive algorithms.
Okay.
The proliferation of AI, it's really driven by a few key things. Access to just massive data sets now.
Right. Big data.
Incredible growth in computational power, and just huge advancements in machine learning itself.
Okay, for those of us who aren't computer scientists, can you break down machine learning simply? What is it at its core?
Sure. At its core, machine learning is about designing algorithms that let computers kind of train themselves on data.
Okay.
Rather than being explicitly programmed for every single task. They learn from patterns.
So they adapt.
Exactly. They adapt to new situations without needing constant human intervention. And they're particularly good at parsing these large, multidimensional data sets, finding patterns that can predict future outcomes.
So in the context of spiritual well-being.
Well, ML can help decipher those subtle, complex patterns of spiritual experience we just talked about, the ones traditional methods might miss.
Because the experiences are so personal and varied.
Precisely. That personal, varied data, when analyzed by sophisticated ML models, can shed light on what actually constitutes spiritual health for different people.
That makes sense. So how does AI actually do this? How does it get a handle on something so personal?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. The study details several transformative opportunities. For instance, natural language processing, or NLP.
Right, understanding language.
Exactly. It can analyze text data, the digital diary entries, social media posts, maybe even transcripts from counseling sessions.
Okay, and what would it look for?
It can use sentiment analysis to find emotional cues related to spiritual states,
Hmm.
or identify themes like gratitude, transcendence, maybe growth patterns over time, using something called topic modeling.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Then there's predictive modeling. This forecasts changes in spiritual well-being based on various data points.
Like what kind of data?
Could be anything from, say, heart rate variability during meditation
Hmm.
to patterns of spiritual practice logged in an app. And adaptive algorithms can take user feedback, biometric data, progress tracking, and use it to personalize spiritual guidance.
So it learns about you specifically.
Yes, they even mention integrating with the Internet of Things, IoT, and
Like
wearables.
smart watches?
Yeah, to continuously monitor physiological signals, heart rate, breathing patterns, which might reflect an individual's spiritual state in subtle ways.
So it's connecting the mind and body data.
In a sense, yes.
Hmm.
By explicitly linking these AI methods to dimensions like meditation or resilience, AI can bypass some traditional boundaries, potentially improve accessibility, and just introduce new ways of providing spiritual care and doing research.
It really does sound like a totally different ballgame compared to older statistical approaches. How does AI specifically overcome those limitations we talked about with, say, regression analysis?
Yeah, it's a good point. Traditional methods, like linear regression, they often have to make assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Assumptions about data distribution, about linearity.
Things fitting a neat pattern.
Right. And that often leads to oversimplified models. They just can't fully capture the complexity, the nuance of human behavior, especially in a subjective area like this. They struggle with complex, nonlinear relationships, high-dimensional data.
All the messy stuff of real life.
Exactly. Which is common in human behavior studies. AI and machine learning, on the other hand, they excel at finding patterns in these large, complex data sets without needing those strict assumptions.
How?
Techniques like decision trees or neural networks, they can model nonlinear relationships much more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And AI's capacity to handle vast amounts of unstructured data.
Like the journal entries you mentioned.
Exactly. Text from diaries, online forums, qualitative interviews. That unstructured data can create a much more refined, detailed picture of spiritual well-being.
So it combines lots of different types of information.
Yes. Behavioral cues, language use, historical data. It pulls it all together to get insights traditional methods just can't reach.
So for the listener, for you, this means...
It potentially means a more accurate, more dynamic, and much more personally relevant understanding of your own spiritual journey, not just a generic score.
Okay, this is fascinating. So the article actually proposes a model for this.
It does. It conceptualizes a model for predictive AI specifically in spiritual well-being. It integrates these advanced techniques we've touched on, NLP, computer vision, reinforcement learning.
Computer vision, how does that fit in?
Well, CV could potentially analyze things like facial expressions during spiritual practice, maybe to estimate calmness or focus.
Interesting. And reinforcement learning.
That's about learning from feedback. So the model could use your feedback on its suggestions to personalize spiritual growth recommendations over time. It learns what works for you.
Wow, that's a lot of moving parts. Let's break down how this model would actually be built. What does the framework look like, step by step?
Okay, let's walk through it. First, it obviously starts with data collection.
Gathering the raw material.
Exactly. The model would gather input directly from you, the user, maybe through surveys, digital diary entries, reflections in an app.
Focused on what specifically?
Things like measures of spiritual harmony, connectedness, resilience, fulfillment, those key dimensions. And it could also incorporate what they call potential external data.
Like demographics.
Yeah, demographics, maybe environmental factors, just for a wider context.
Okay, step one, collect data. What's next?
Next is data pre-processing. This is crucial, but maybe less glamorous.
Cleaning it up.
Pretty much. Cleaning the data, normalizing it, transforming it into formats that the AI algorithms can actually analyze. It ensures accuracy and consistency.
Got it.
And the data gets split here into training sets and validation sets. That's important to make sure the model can generalize later, that it doesn't just memorize the data it was trained on.
Right, so it works on new information, too. Then what?
Then comes model selection.
Okay.
This is choosing the right AI tools for the job.
Like NLP or...
Right. Deciding whether classification models, regression models, or maybe deep learning models are best suited, depending on the data and the specific prediction goals. The main aim is usually to predict a composite spiritual well-being index. Let's call it an SWI score.
A single score reflecting overall well-being?
Potentially, yeah. Or maybe predicting specific dimensions. Once the model type is selected, then the predictive model is actually built.
This is the training part.
Yes. setting up model parameters, training it on that processed data, and using tests to fine-tune it. The goal is to reliably forecast your SWI score using inputs like, say, meditation frequency, your reported emotional state, community participation, and so on.
And they keep checking it.
Constantly. Regular validation against that separate data set ensures it doesn't overfit, meaning it can predict future spiritual wellness without just regurgitating the old data it saw.
And it integrates those advanced approaches, NLP, RL, CV you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. NLP handles the text. RL allows for adaptive learning based on your feedback. CV could analyze visual data if relevant. All these techniques help extract features directly relevant to your spiritual state.
And then?
Then, through predictive analysis, these integrated AI technologies work together, analyzing complex patterns to build a robust connection between your reported experiences, your behaviors, and the underlying data.
Okay, but how does it keep learning? You mentioned feedback.
Right, that's vital. User interaction and feedback collection. The AI platform needs to engage you, solicit ongoing feedback. How are you feeling? Was this recommendation helpful?
So it's a loop.
A continuous feedback loop, yes. It refines the model's features and its understanding of you. And finally, outcome assessment and reporting.
Checking if it actually works.
Basically, monitoring the AI's predictions, their impact on your spiritual well-being, its accuracy, your satisfaction. Is it actually helpful?
That framework makes a lot of sense. So how does the model know what specific things to look for in all that data? What kind of variables or features are selected?
Yeah, that's a key question. Variable and feature selection are critical.
Yeah.
The model aims to identify interconnected variables that influence spiritual well-being. They look across different domains,
Like
spiritual variables, frequency of meditation, prayer, spiritual reading, community involvement. Then psychological variables, emotional well-being, life satisfaction, maybe even personality traits. Also, health variables, physical and mental health status, and social and environmental variables, social support, family dynamics, cultural background. It tries to get a comprehensive picture.
And how do they turn all that, especially the qualitative stuff like journal entries, into something the AI can actually use? Numbers.
That's where feature engineering comes in. It's about transforming that raw data into structured, quantitative features.
How?
Well, survey responses might become numerical scores. That's straightforward. For qualitative data, like those journals, NLP techniques can convert text into quantifiable sentiment scores or frequencies of certain spiritual terms. They can even combine multiple variables into a single composite feature. Like an index of spiritual engagement could combine meditation frequency, prayer habits, and community participation into one number.
Clever. But how do they make sure these features are actually useful? That they're not just picking up random noise?
Good point. They use selection criteria for features. They prioritize features with strong predictive power, clear relevance to spiritual well-being outcomes, good data quality,
Makes sense.
and crucially, diversity and representation. Ensuring the features work across different spiritual beliefs and cultures so the model can generalize and isn't biased towards one group.
Okay.
They also often use dimensionality reduction techniques like PCA.
What's that?
It basically simplifies the data. Think of it as finding the main themes or dimensions, eliminating redundant features. It makes the model faster to train and often makes the insights clearer, more interpretable.
Less clutter.
Exactly. And finally, validation of feature selection. They use techniques like cross-validation, essentially testing the features rigorously, and importantly, they incorporate feedback from users and spiritual experts to refine the chosen features. It ensures the model is robust and practically relevant.
Okay, so if AI can gather, process, and engineer all this data effectively, what are the specific outcomes it's actually trying to predict or measure? What does spiritual well-being look like through this AI lens?
Yeah, the study identifies several meaningful and measurable outcomes. For instance, spiritual harmony, measuring the balance between your personal values and your daily practices. Are you living in alignment with what you believe?
Okay, like a congruence measure.
Very similar, yes. They also mention spiritual congruence, specifically consistency between beliefs and actions. Then there's spiritual connectedness.
Your sense of connection
to a higher power, maybe nature or your community. That sense of belonging. And spiritual resilience.
How will you bounce back spiritually?
Exactly. Your ability to maintain spiritual health when facing life's challenges. Others include spiritual commitment, your dedication to practices, spiritual fulfillment, satisfaction in your spiritual life, spiritual advocacy, promoting spiritual values, and adaptive spirituality, your ability to adapt practices to new situations.
Wow, that's quite comprehensive. It really tries to capture different
It
facets.
aims for a holistic view, yes.
And how exactly are these measured? What kind of data points feed into assessing, say, spiritual connectedness or resilience?
Right. Measurement and metrics. The model uses a mix of approaches. There are quantitative metrics, standard survey instruments like the Daily Spiritual Experience Scale or ASAD/SPOP, maybe frequency analysis of practices from logs or trackers.
Okay, the number stuff?
Then qualitative assessments, using NLP on journals or interviews to find themes and sentiments, content coding to categorize that richer data.
Getting the nuance.
Exactly. Then biometric and physiological measures, things we mentioned like heart rate variability, galvanic skin response, maybe EEG readings during meditation, plus behavioral data from apps, how often you use them, what features you engage with.
So body signals and behavior.
Yes. These are then often combined into composite indices, like that overall spiritual well-being index score. And change scores are important to track progress over time.
Right, seeing if things are improving.
And finally, the predictive analytics themselves, the machine learning models predicting these outcomes, validated by technical metrics like accuracy, precision, recall. And underpinning it all is continuous monitoring and feedback, using real-time data and tracking trends longitudinally.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful,
Mm.
but I imagine there are some significant challenges or ethical concerns here.
Absolutely. While the potential is vast, integrating AI into this area brings up some serious issues. First, obvious concerns about privacy and data security.
Yeah, this is deeply personal stuff.
Extremely sensitive data.
Hmm.
Misuse or breaches could have severe repercussions, really damage trust. Then there's accuracy and contextual sensitivity.
Because spirituality is so personal and diverse.
Exactly. There's a real risk that AI systems, if not incredibly well designed and validated, could reach oversimplified or even inappropriate conclusions about these very nuanced human experiences.
That sounds like a slippery slope. What other concerns are there?
Well, there's the risk of dehumanization. If we over-rely on AI, could it displace the human relational basis of spirituality? Things like mentorship, community. Could spiritual practice start to feel less human, more transactional?
Reducing it to data points.
Potentially. And then there's algorithmic bias. This is a big one. If the AI is trained on biased data that reflects existing cultural or personal prejudices, it could end up perpetuating those biases.
So it could discriminate.
Unintentionally, yes. That's why regular audits and ensuring diverse data sets are absolutely essential. The very complexity of spirituality itself is a hurdle. It's abstract, multidimensional, inherently difficult for AI to quantify and model accurately in its full richness.
True.
And we have to consider philosophical differences and skepticism. Some spiritual communities might understandably resist integrating technology into what they see as a sacred, deeply personal domain.
A clash of worlds, almost.
Perhaps. And finally, these AI systems require continuous updates to stay relevant. Spiritual practices evolve, our understanding evolves, the AI needs to keep up.
So with all these powerful possibilities, but also these significant risks, what does this mean for making sure it's done responsibly? How do we navigate this?
It really means that ethical frameworks are paramount. They have to be baked in from the start. Things like adhering strictly to data protection guidelines, GDPR, HIPAA equivalent. Ensuring transparency about how the AI works. Promoting inclusivity in the design process and the data used. Maintaining compliance. It's all essential to guarantee user autonomy and build and maintain trust.
So for the listener, for you,
It means that while this technology offers incredible promise, we absolutely must address these issues. Privacy, accuracy, bias, the human element. It's critical for the ethical and effective integration of AI into spiritual well-being.
it's not just a tech challenge then.
Not at all. It demands an interdisciplinary approach. Ongoing, honest dialogue between the AI technologists, spiritual leaders, ethicists, psychologists, and the wider community is crucial.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for the future? Where could this go?
Well, this deep dive has, I think, really illuminated a promising, if complex, intersection. AI genuinely offers remarkable opportunities. Personalizing your spiritual practices, making guidance potentially more accessible, providing robust support tools for spiritual advisors.
It could really change things.
It could fundamentally transform how you, and maybe communities, engage with spiritual growth, making practices more tailored, more responsive to individual needs in ways we haven't seen before.
Well, with caveats.
Big caveats. If we connect it back to the bigger picture, yes, it's about leveraging technology to deepen our understanding of a profound aspect of human life. But Applying AI here raises those profound ethical questions and practical hurdles.
The risks we discussed.
Exactly.
Right.
Privacy, data security, the potential dehumanization.
Hmm.
These need vigilant attention, rigorous safeguards. And given the cultural and personal sensitivity, any AI applications must be developed with extreme ethical consideration and cultural competence. They have to genuinely serve people's spiritual journeys, not hinder them.
Okay, so here's a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. As AI gets more sophisticated at understanding, maybe even guiding spiritual well-being, how might this change your personal spiritual practices? Will it deepen your connection, maybe offer insights you wouldn't get otherwise? Or could it fundamentally alter how we experience spirituality as individuals or even as a community?
Yeah, and what new forms of spiritual growth might emerge from this collaboration between human experience and artificial intelligence? Things we can't even imagine today.
Definitely something to think about. Until our next deep dive.